Hello common people, this is Common Guy Reviews, and even after the summer days, I still remain your lovely host Pepsi. Warmest days are over. Luckily here in Finland, and especially in my area, we had over 2 weeks heat wave, or 3 weeks. That was supposedly some sort of record numbers. Last time achieved in 1973 or something. Well, it was hot. I was sweating my butt off, and didn't really have strength to do anything. But even then, I had a little ounce of might in me to watch some movies. This video is going to be a summary of those movies I watched during summertime, when it was too hot to do anything else. Heads of State was a 2025 American action comedy directed by Ilya Naishuller, and it starred John Cena as the US President and Idris Elba as the UK Prime Minister, as they fell into the global conspiracy where an evil organization tried to get them killed. It was an action-packed comedy, with a nice touch of action. Pretty good action scenes and good characters though. John Cena as Will Derringer and Idris Elba as Sam Clark made a dynamic duo, maybe not so much as Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker in Rush Hour, but still entertaining nonetheless. It was a fun watch, as I don't often watch action movies because they aren't so much of my cup of tea. But this was just the right balance of humor and action that it kept me entertained. The next one was The Brood from 1979, and it was a weird one. Body horror sci-fi movie directed and written by David Cronenberg, same man who wrote The Fly, that is one of my favorites. He told us a story about a man named Frank, who is worried about his dog that visits her wife, who is in the hands of psychotherapist Dr. Hal Reichel, who uses unusual methods to cure people from their mental anguishes. His daughter had some bruises, and this sets up a weird story about getting into the bottom of the mystery that leaves you baffled. At one point we are met with weird duende-looking things that kill people, and their origin is so crazy and honestly not well explained that you couldn't do anything but scratch your head. Story was still interesting, the mystery thrilling and characters nice. They really made some good red herrings along the way, so you really didn't know that who was the evil one here, and was there even villain in the first place. I guess this is one of those classic horror films you have to give it a try to see if you can grasp it. Still, I think The Fly was better, but that's just me. And then we get into the weird ones. Even weirder ones. Eat and Run was a 1986 horror comedy directed by Christopher Hart, who co-wrote the script with Stan Hart. It was another pretty unusual one about a tubby alien disguised as a human who got an appetite for Italian people, after one Italian farmer told him about how delicious their cuisine is. Movie had rather a slow start, but ramped up its humor from the midpoint. They used many things that are steady in comedy, like repeating jokes, like how Detective Max Sorley's boss is always eating. Max Sorley is a lousy cop, but tries to solve this mystery with good intentions. Setting is in American Italian side of New York where weird alien wreaks havoc. There was nothing special about this movie, just a bunch of jokes. Some weaker, some better. Another pretty weird one was The Black Lizard. It was a 1981 drama mystery movie directed by Yen Zorn, who co-wrote it with Ying Wong. This movie was an interesting mix of old kung fu movies and crime mystery that had almost noir type of vibes in it. People are trying to solve murder with supernatural elements like ghosts and stuff. Crazy plot twists happen and over-the-top kung fu action ensues every now and then. Truly a bizarre find, but I kinda liked it. One game in my list was the Hellraiser 4 Bloodlines. I was pleasantly surprised how well it held the horror in, even after 3 previous movies. It came out in 1996 and had all the 90s vibe as we follow a scientist who tries to close the gates to hell permanently, after his ancestors built the infamous box that opens it. Kevin Yagher as a director made a good choice to cast Doug Bradley as Pinhead once more, as he truly is the vibe himself. Especially this line in this movie makes me have a goosebumps every single time.
Do I look like someone who cares what God thinks?
Truly for the watch. Last movie I watched was Zombie Holocaust from 1980. I got this movie while I was visiting my friend in the south, and I was going through the antiquarian film shop and spotted it in a shelf of more obscure movies from overseas. This one was Italian cannibal movie that mixed in some zombie action. Directed by Marino Girolami, the film follows a scientist who follows a trail of corpses to the lonely island in Indonesia. They meet Dr. Obrero, who is revealed to be a mad scientist who does experiments on humans, trying to find a secret for a long life, zombifying people in the process. If you are a fan of gore films, this is a A-grade film for that. The gore was plentiful and detailed, not shying away from graphic scenes. Sad thing was that zombies came so late that we weren't able to enjoy their presence but a moment. It was mostly a mystery film that was located in the island where local natives were cannibals and took most of the crew as a light snack. Even if my disappointment was visible, I still enjoyed it very much for the good usage of practical effects and good heart. But this was my July in a nutshell. I hope that you also had a good blast of a summer, and maybe not so hot one of that. We are going back to the good old schedule, and Friday is still our dear movie night. This was all brought to you by Common Guy Reviews, and speaking to you, your lovely host Pepsi, and I'll see you in the next review. Goodbye!